Hi everyone, welcome back to Charot Room. Hi, I'm Angel Qinan.
I'm Lee FaelnarTe.
I'm Kimsey. I'm Justine. Hello, everyone.
Hi, thank you very much
Hi.
for watching. Today our topic will be religion, spirituality, faith. Uh, so who wants to start? Does anybody wants? I'll have a strong, pressing information they want to add right away.
Did all of you grow up
I
Catholic
did.
when you were in the Philippines? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think I started with
Yes.
Sunday school. I think I started being born again and then I went to Catholic school afterwards. But did all of you go? I
Well, it
went
looks
to
like everybody grew up Catholic here. Obviously, we're all trans. What do you, what things have you experienced growing up being Catholic and kind of being other or LGBTQ?
My main issue was every time I would like you remember when you were in like did did anyone experience this, like you would have a wet dream during like high school or something, and then you would wake up and you're like, oh my god, I'm so wet, what the heck? And then the dreams that you dreamed are like your guy crushes and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like I felt so dirty if I did something like that. I'm like, it's
So
too
did you
cold.
confess that?
I did.
And what did they say?
Hail Marys. I think
So they did consider it as a sin, even though it was a dream and kind of involuntary thought. I mean,
I think they well, cause like I wouldn't just confess that. I would confess other things. So
uh-huh.
I don't know, but like
Like what? Masturbation?
no, not masturbation, nothing to do with sex. It's more like it's that and other stuff, just like answering to your parents, blah blah blah, this and that. But because of
Mm-hmm.
because of that, like I felt like sex was something that was
Taboo and a
not
sin,
a
I guess.
sin, a sin more than like anything. It's more than it's a sin.
Well, one
Everybody,
of the things that you pretty much that was a big hindrance for me kind of transitioning is, I guess, the notion that if you transition, you're kind of like going against what's natural and you're a sinner and you will never go to heaven and you automatically go to hell. Um, so I remember when I first met you, Lee, you introduced me to Metropolitan Community Church, and it took me a while to kind of reconcile my faith being trans. Did anybody else have similar experiences?
For myself, like not, I didn't have that experience growing up as a Catholic. We do have a Catholic subject at school. So when I was growing up, it's just like you follow what the Catholic says about do the Hail Mary, like those prayers, or you confess your sin, and then you kind of like talk to the priest, like visit church. So that's more like how I grew up as a Catholic. But when I transitioned, um, there was a little bit of like like okay, the Bible says this, the Bible says that, but it didn't really stop me from like really fulfilling my dreams of becoming a woman. So yeah, I didn't have that really strong opinion or experience when it comes to
So
being Catholic and a trans.
is it because you don't consider yourself religious to begin with, or
I would
how?
say no, no, I'm not. I'm not very religious, but I do respect, very respect with religion. Not really religious though.
What about family? I mean, because that's also a strong one. Like my mom is very religious,
were
so
you
kind of like transitioning, you can't. You know, I guess.
Right. I think I did have some comments about my gender, from my dad, but I didn't really directly say that to me. So my mom would just tell me like, "Oh, your dad told me this, that you're this, and like I let you to become like this, like to be like gay and
But your dad is
sexual."
concerned about like it being related to religion in terms of maybe going to hell or.
Probably. I didn't really talk to him about that, and then he was very concerned about my gender before, and then so my mom and my dad would fight about it, and then I feel bad because I didn't know why they're fighting before. So my mom would just tell me, and then I guess now like he's around, like he came around, so I guess he's okay now, and my mom too.
Lee, you were saying something earlier.
No, a question to Justine about that. So was your mom more accepting than your father then?
What was that again?
Was your mom more accepting than your father?
My
About
mom is.
Was your mom more accepting of your gender identity than your father?
Yes, yes, definitely. She's been very supportive ever since. Because my dad always on a, he's a Boy Scout coordinator, so he's always out and about. So like every time he's outside, like it's just me, my mom, and my sisters. So I grew up with girls, so I guess my mom is more accepting before than my dad.
And but does your mom is your mom religious or does your mom go to church often?
She does. She does go to church. She has like this strong passion to like go to church every Sunday, like pray, and then I guess mostly from her, I would hear like more like motherly advice. Now like oh, the Bible says to be
Uh,
like you have to be that this way, that way. And it's more like like, oh, the God, you have to be kind, you have to be respectful. I guess that's the lessons or advices I always hear from her. You have to be humble, more of that instead of what the Bible says.
that's
That's
nice.
I love Mother Alma.
Yeah, mother.
Yeah.
The winner for the Mother's Day quarantine.
Yeah.
So Kim, did
Yeah,
your church allow
but
you to wear?
like
No, Kim, did your church allow you to wear glasses when you go to church?
Mm. Mm.
Well, yeah. Well, back then it was different, like the everyone is not as open as, I mean, I think a lot of things or a lot of community were not as open as us we are in right now. And also going back to the Catholic thing, because I've heard before growing up as a Catholic, like being gay, because that's all I know in the Philippines. I don't know anything about trans yet, as a little kid. It's a sin to be a gay, and you'll go to hell. Like, and some people would say that um, men are made for women. So that kind of thinking growing up, but it didn't really register to me because uh, like I'm a happy-go-lucky. I respect their beliefs and all, but then I'm just like, okay, whatever. But like those things that I've heard, like, oh, you're gay, you're going to hell, or you're gay. It's like basically, and also aside from the church, also from cousins or aunts and uncles, the mentality before is different. Like, yeah, being gay is a sin, basically. But yeah.
But how do you guys deal with those negative comments back then? Like, were you like very strong with your no, I'm not, I'm like this, like you can be telling me that, like, how do you guys deal with those people?
All of us. I mean, I don't know how I dealt with it, to be honest, because I never like I wasn't out. How do you say this? Because like when you're back in the Philippines, you don't know if you're trans or not, right? Like
Yeah,
during
yeah,
my
I
time,
agree.
I didn't know, so I thought I was gay. So like me being gay, I
Mhm.
thought was scary. I thought it was gonna be a disgrace for my family, and aside from that, I felt I prayed to God like, why didn't you just make me a girl? Like that was like my
Yeah.
prayer for
Oh
the
my
most
gosh,
part.
yeah.
It's just like, why didn't you make me a girl? Because like now I'm gonna go. Now I'm a sinner, blah blah blah, this and that. I'm like I can't help it. Oh, blah, blah,
I
all
agree.
of that thing. But then like when my friends that were gay just said like, hey, just come out. And I'm like duh. And I'm like, okay. That was just like, and then when you had sport, like I didn't come out till high school, and I wasn't like more comfortable with my own self till high school because I had a group of people that were good in school. We were like the top section, and then they were still good in like the subject of religion, and I was like at the most part my thing was just like, I'll get good grades, I'll just do stuff. And I thought to myself, like in the Catholic religion, there's this thing called indulgencia, indulgences. Do you know that? Like if you do something good, it would count as a merit. So if anything, you would die and not go to hell straight away. You would go to purgatory. And then people can pray you out of purgatory so you can go to heaven. So like my thing was, I'm not gonna have any like super bad sins. I'm not gonna go against the Ten Commandments because I don't like never was anything mentioned about homosexuality in the Ten Commandments. And
But
that's
that's the Old Testament.
I know, but then that's what mostly people would say. Like if in the Catholic religion, right? Like there's venial sin, there's mortal sin, um, there's all those stuff, and like mortal sin would be something that goes against the Ten Commandments, from what I remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's like what I remember. So I made sure I didn't commit any mortal sin, and I did everything that I could do as sacrifices, like do the rosary, do a novena, go to church every Sunday. Like even going to church was considered a mortal, like not going to church was considered a
Yeah.
mortal sin, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Like
Oh my God, I just like
the
went
Oh
on.
teachings
no.
is different.
What? Go
No, no,
ahead.
no. No, because before, like what you've said, Mrs. Lee, like, yeah, those things, like, basically they were dictating, not really dictating. I mean, I don't know what's the right word to use, but basically, like, all of those things that you've mentioned and so many things are like, a sin, because if you're not really going or doing what the Bible says. So, nothing against religion. This is just my opinion, okay? But if you're going against like their teachings or what the Bible say, how they understand it, this is back then. It's considered as a sin. So yeah,
Yeah,
like,
well, one of
but
the things
then
I learned
yeah.
at Metropolitan Community Church, which Lee and I go to, like she's more active than me, but that the Bible has actually been written so many different times. There's so many versions. It's like the most selling book, and unfortunately, it's also written by man, so it kind of some of it have been translated differently, um, which I don't want to really go into because I'm not an expert with any of those. I mean, Lee probably will be able to tell you a lot about those things about Adam and Eve and this and that,
Yeah.
from the beginning up to the current ones. But in terms of adjusting to it, for me, I mean, really kind of, you know what, maybe I was turned off by religion. I kind of lost faith at some point. I think I consider myself religious, like was growing up. Say hi to whoever Justine is there.
Hi.
You said
And
hi.
I think I kind of stopped believing for a while, and living kind of still in a gay boy's closet at some point because I wasn't allowed to transition, but I knew I was attracted to a guy. So I went to a Catholic church in New York City, and I went to a confession. And after 10 years of not going to a confession, and the priest is like, I was telling the priest, I don't know where to start. I haven't done this in a long time. And the priest was just like, well, tell me what's bothering you. So I kind of just said, you know what, I don't want to be a hypocrite because I know that the Catholic Church does not approve gay marriage. And I don't want to confess something that I feel like I will not have control of because I'll keep doing it again. And I was referring to like having sex. And the priest just said, you know, well, why don't you start doing it for love?
Aww.
Kind of like not saying it's a sin and things. So that kind of like drew me back to the Catholic Church, that because it's more love oriented than you're gonna go to hell and you should be scared for doing this and you should follow this and that. It's more about we're all humans. We all have to love. And you know, so by the time I actually met Lee and went to Metropolitan Community Church, it's actually like just more reassurance of that kind of religion or a place of faith being more concentrated on love. Mm-hmm. And then it added more being an MCC, like saying that you actually have your own relationship with God. And in the end, God is the one who's going to judge you, not human beings. And again, like the Bible is written, it could be translated in so many different ways. So, you know, but I understand how people have their own faith also and believe that, and I respect that. But I think as long as we all kind of respect each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
mean,
it's
such a powerful, you know, like advice. Do it for love. You know, how did you feel about that after?
I cried.
Oh,
were you crying during confession? You were crying during confession?
I cried during the confession. I think when we were already praying, that's when I cried. When he said, start doing it for love. And then, you know, I kind of understood what he meant by that because I did feel like I was having sex already at that point, almost like aimlessly already, like I was lost, you know. And when he said that, I kind of placed me back on a good direction of where I want my life to be. And then when we started holding hands and praying, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
How old were you when you started having sex?
When I started having sex, I was an adult already because in the Philippines, it's kind of like, first of all, I grew up in the Philippines kind of FM, and I didn't want to pretend that I'm a butch guy to get somebody. So it was not until I kind of moved to the United States until I had more of those. Yeah. Oh, and actually, when Lee said something about she used to pray to God to make me a girl, I remember praying that every day. Praying that every day. But on my last visit to the Philippines, when I remembered that I used to pray that in that church in our province, I'm like, oh my God, God is good because he did answer my prayer. It's not the next day, you know, it's a lot of years after. And maybe it's not the woman that I was like praying for at that time, but it's the woman that I actually like to be, which is me now. I'm sorry?
Yeah, you're the woman that you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it took a while. I mean, it's also like religion, like being Catholic or just growing up during that time, it stopped me from transitioning. It really did. Like I probably, if I just had a better understanding of my faith rather than what was taught to you, like, you know, by your teachers, then I probably would have transitioned earlier. Unlike Kim here, like happy-go-lucky Kim taking hormones at like what age again? 13?
Around 14, yeah.
I
Going to the
probably
Yeah.
drugstore.
No, I know, right?
So,
No, go ahead.
so speaking of Lee, I guess since we're going to the current times, I mean, how would you describe your faith, religion, spirituality right now? I mean, do you still I know you go to church, but you know,
Yeah.
maybe they want to hear more about that. And of course Kim and Justine also.
Well, I go to church because I have a very deep connection with my higher power, or the God of my understanding, so to speak. Also, it's reinforcing to be in a community that wants to create a change for the better, for equality purposes. And like what you said a while ago, like love is like the most powerful thing. And I've said this a few times, like the way that I see God, because like there's a verse in the Bible that says God is love. So like that was like the most powerful thing for me, because like it made me realize, because I always thought like as a kid, so if you're not Catholic, if you're Muslim, or if you're Hindu, or if you're Buddhist, does that mean you're going to hell because you don't believe in Jesus, or you don't believe in God or the Trinity or whatnot? And then I always felt, that always gave me a struggle with my faith too, because I wouldn't think like a baby that was born in a different country that didn't believe Catholicism or Christianity would just like all of a sudden go to hell just in case. But they would say they would go to limbo, as I remember. So that one line that says God is love made me realize that it doesn't matter if you call your God God or Allah or whatnot, or if you have a God that you believe in at all, but as long as your actions are based on a love type of perspective, then that makes you believe, or in a way be moving with a God that's with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like I feel like it's more it's more that, and like it's nice to go to some like a place like MCC where it kind of breaks down stuff that instead of being spoon fed, you're more trying to learn the history of things and like why it's like that, why did they wrote those books back then during that time. So it's not just like believe in this because this is what it is the word of God. It's more like, oh, so like during that time they believed in this and that. So that's why I kind of like going there, because it gives, aside from the fact that yes, I am a nerd. That's why in the quarantine ball my prompting was more nerdy. But yeah, those are the things like I'm learning. You're all quiet. I feel like I'm being boring. What's that?
You were talking a lot and we're listening while you're preaching there.
Yes.
Last question for Lee before we go to Justine. So do you still consider yourself Catholic right now?
I consider myself not entirely Catholic. I still do some Catholic things here and there, and I don't mind doing a novena when I really want to do prayer and stuff. So I said like I'm a hodgepodge of different beliefs, because also now I want to learn more about the metaphysical stuff, blah blah blah. I just want to expand. So basically I'm a person of faith, and Jesus is my role model for the most part. Let me just say like that.
Okay,
I don't
Justine.
That's very impressive, mother. I think I agree with Lee too. Oh my god, the flies. Anyways, so I agree with Lee too. I think religion shouldn't be forced. I guess you have to do it because out of love, out of respect, you want to learn. And then like for myself, like I'm not really religious like I said, but I do have how do you like a person of faith. Like, I believe in God, believe in creation.
God fearing.
Yes. And then I pray, I do good things like everyone does, like being a transgender doesn't really isn't really a sin for me. I guess this is who I am. So, my religion shouldn't be because of how I grew up, like as a Catholic. I don't really want to follow. So, like trying to say is like, I don't want it to be forced. I want to do it, out of love and respect, and like, uh, not more of the Bible, but the intangible teachings of Bible, like, don't kill your neighbors, or good deeds, and respect your parents, or respect everyone. So that's for me. That's for my take.
Kim.
Well, for me, like growing up as a Catholic, when you're doing stuff like growing up, like every Sunday, we always go to church. That was engraved in me, even though whatever they said about religion, uh, about trans or gay people, it didn't really like affected me. Like it didn't affect my faith. I feel like religion is about calling, like what are you more comfortable with, like not like what religion is like 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 connecting to you, something like that. So I'm still Catholic, but at the same time I go to like Christian or Methodist. My mom used to go to Methodist church before. And I've also, because growing up, I went to a Chinese school, so there is Buddhism there. They practice Buddhism, so I've seen different different kind of like practice of religion. So like I think we can like what everyone says, like faith is love. So like yeah, that's what I believe. Faith is love. Like yeah, and it's about calling as well, like what do you feel like you're comfortable with, at the same time respecting other people, and having a faith like there's a higher power in everything. Like I think basically that's the common denominator in all religion, that there's always someone up there. So yeah.
So what would you say to people that still keeps on trying to pray the gay or the trans or the whatever away? Is there, because like that's annoying, but like I mean
I'll pray
that's
for
their,
I'll pray for them. That's what I can say. We can pray for them too. Do we have more time, Lee?
yeah,
Are we?
you if you want to still talk, like we probably
So
still.
we actually brought some goodies, I guess.
Oh
Did you
yeah,
bring? I mean,
I
we
have
kind
this.
of spoke about it. So so I think growing up Catholic, I like praying the rosary, like Lee is showing.
Yeah.
So we kind of have like those things. Did anybody bring anything that they want to show and tell?
Amy, your angel.
This is
I
from
Favorite candle.
Angel. This is actually from Angel. She gave it to me when she went to, because like she's a jet setter. She gave it to me when we went to Portugal, right? This is from
That's
Fatima.
Yeah.
nice.
So when I went to
So nice.
Portugal with my boyfriend, I was inclined and I really pushed to go to Fatima because I kind of grew up like that, like in elementary school, like knowing about the miraculous um, uh, Our Lady of Fatima showing to the three kids. So
Yeah.
I wanted to go to the church there. And yeah, that's one of the rosaries that I got there. And I gave Lee, I don't think we were like friends yet. Kim and Justina. So
No,
no
just
offense
now.
Yeah, no.
having
But
those.
like it's so exciting to always visit those churches. Like there's also this saying like, "Oh, make a wish when it's your first time to a church,"
Go to a
and
church,
You have
then
to
yes.
knock
yeah,
three
and then it
times on
will
the
come
door.
true. It's like yeah, and and every church has their history. Like
So I still do
seeing,
that. I still do that. Like I
me
visit
too.
churches like for the first time so I can make a
Yeah,
wish.
yeah,
I haven't.
yeah,
I don't know that.
and
You don't know
and
that.
then seeing like, and also learning the history of the church. It's just fascinating. Like
Yeah.
here in the United States we have one also that's also very interesting. It's called the there's the steps that's like hanging steps in New Mexico that someone, it's a miraculous church. Like, but anyways, I'm just like what
Is
you
that the
said,
same
so
as like a
social.
grotto? Like, like you like go up? Like,
I'm not sure. I
I think I
don't
yeah.
did that,
remember,
the
but
grotto in the
Anyways,
Philippines.
huh?
The grotto, like you go to different station and you pray. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think those are one of the Catholic tradition I grew up with. We go to grotto. I think more like Antipolo, they have a lot of that in there. So yeah, I did a lot of Catholic traditions when I was growing up. So it's a good experience. And then
When you went to
you
Mexico, did you visit any churches?
no, we did. We actually did. On our way to our hotel, we kind of like uh find found this church really beautiful, like architecture wise. And then they didn't have any ceremony, but because it was the weekdays. And then we went to pyramid. So we didn't go to church, but we went to the pyramid. So yeah, growing up as a Catholic, when I was growing up, it was something like I was on a like experiment, like like we go to different religion, like Iglesia ni Cristo, Christian. So it was more of like a exploration for me. And being as a trans now, I always just want to respect and then do it out of love. I think that's just for me when it comes to religion and being transgender.
I know Lee also traveled like to Paris and visited Notre Dame.
I drove through Notre Dame. I didn't go inside Notre Dame. I didn't have.
You didn't make it to a point that to go in?
No, I went to
Yeah.
Invalides. I got stuck in, and I only was there for 2 days, so I got stuck in Invalides, which is like a hospital turned museum, and I was there for I was there for 5 or 6 hours. I'm dumb when I go to museums, so.
My boyfriend jokes that whenever we travel, it's especially like when we went to Portugal and then when we went to like Paris, like it's always like churches and castles and churches and castles like in Portugal. And then when we went to like Rome, it's gonna be ruins and churches and ruins and churches. Because I love going in the churches and kind of just admiring the architecture and praying and
Yeah.
kind of like having that
Yeah.
peace.
Very
Yeah.
supportive.
Yeah.
So, any last words before we run out of time?
Any last words?
Well, I did mine already when I was talking. I just want to do it for love. That I know there's, I believe in God, creation, do it for love, like Angel says. And, being a trans is not a sin. Not a sin too if you're not a Catholic or you're not Islam or you're not Buddhist, as long as you believe there's a higher, superior God, that's that.
Okay, so if you're in the Philippines, there's a couple MCC churches in the Philippines. I know, like, sometimes you feel alone because of religion or you're being ostracized. I know, hopefully that changes soon. And if not, go to an MCC church in the Philippines, find it, and then just realize that there's so much more to being stuck in one belief. And you don't even have to believe in anything. Just make sure you work and move properly with love in your heart. That's all.
Kim?
Yeah. Yeah. So just just respect, being respectful to everyone, to everyone's belief, and also, and God is love, and yeah.
And
I'm so
angel.
happy we had this episode. I feel like we all agree on one thing, which is love, and we love all of you. And if you want to converse, or if you have any questions, or if you want resources, you can reach out to us. I know Lee, has so many resources, and I hope we keep loving each other.
Right.
And just have faith and keep praying.
All right, Charot! I know it's heavy, pero Charot!
Walang charot yan.
Ta-da!